think I can do a Rutherford for a while then if my voice doesn't change. But I don't know science.
Yeah, none of us know science.
17 more years.
If you thought Star Trek's beloved android, Data, was a one-of-a-kind marvel of artificial intelligence, you're not wrong. But buckle up and allow is to show on All We Know on Star Trek. Lower Decks just debuted its own version of Data, and it's not exactly the logical, emotionless android we know. In this twisted spin, Rutherford, the tech genius of the USS Cerritos, decided to take a crack at building his own android. What could go wrong? Well, turns out a lot. Forget the quest for humanity. This new version has a far more capitalist goal in mind. And it gets weirder. Imagine an android not striving to understand emotions, but instead programmed with Ferengi-inspired motivations, seeking profit at every turn. That's exactly what Rutherford and Tendi have cooked up in this outrageous story. Let's break it down, and don't worry, we'll throw in some Star Trek puns to keep things warp speed entertaining. Go See Cal, the dark side of Data. In the story Go See Cal from Star Trek, Never 500, Rutherford, ever the engineering whiz, attempts to follow in the footsteps of cyberneticist Dr. Sung. But Rutherford's version comes with a twist. Instead of the usual Data-like curiosity, this android is fueled by Ferengi-style greed. Yep. Rutherford built himself a Data who would rather auction off his ship and crew than explore the mysteries of the human condition. Things get even wilder when Rutherford admits he used a black market binaural compensator from, you guessed it, a Ferengi. It's like they took Data, sprinkled a little lore into the mix, and then topped it off with a Ferengi profit obsession. After a series of near-catastrophic events, where the android nearly sells off everything and everyone to the highest bidder, Rutherford and Tendi are left with no choice but to deactivate their twisted creation. Talk about a tech project gone wrong. Data, the OG android. For those unfamiliar, let's beam up some backstory. Data, played by Brent Spiner, has been a central figure in Star Trek for decades. Created by the enigmatic Dr. Noonien Sung, Data was built to be the third model in a series of Sung-type androids. B4 came first, but he wasn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. Lore was the second attempt, and while he had all of Data's strengths, he had a little problem with, well, being evil. Data, on the other hand, became the beloved character, capturing fans' hearts with his innocent curiosity about humanity and his struggle to understand emotions. While Data may have been a brilliant creation, his family tree was a bit complicated. Lore, his villainous brother, has caused chaos across the galaxy, and B4, let's just say he's been mostly MIA since Star Trek, Nemesis. But despite the dysfunctional family dynamics, Data remained a shining example of the potential for AI to evolve into something more than just machine logic. That is, until Rutherford decided to tinker with the formula in the most hilarious and disturbing way possible. Data's unique legacy. Data isn't just any old android. He's a one-of-a-kind creation, crafted by one of the galaxy's greatest minds. Dr. Sung didn't just create a robot, he built a machine with the capacity to learn, grow, and develop a moral compass. Data's positronic brain was a breakthrough that no one in the galaxy had been able to replicate. That's why, despite numerous attempts by scientists, and now Rutherford, to recreate him, Data remains unique. In Star Trek, The Next Generation, Data's journey to understand what it means to be human made him one of the most compelling characters. Fans loved his attempts to grasp humor, love, and even the concept of immortality. But here's where the new twist comes in. What happens when someone builds an android that doesn't care about those things at all? Rutherford's version of Data turns this legacy on its head by being driven by a ruthless desire for profit. It's as if someone gave Data the rules of acquisition and let him loose on the galaxy. Data tried to duplicate himself once. It did not go well. In his endless quest to better understand humanity, Data once made a bold decision: to become a father. In the Star Trek, The Next Generation episode, The Offspring, Data creates a Soong-type android named Lal, hoping to experience the complex emotional bond of parenthood. This moment represented one of Data's deepest attempts at personal growth, as he sought to understand what it meant to nurture life rather than just observe it. Lal quickly became popular aboard the Enterprise, integrating with the crew and showing signs of surpassing Data's understanding of emotions. But as with many of Data's well-intentioned experiments, things took a tragic turn. Lal's positronic matrix began to break down, and despite Data's best efforts, he was forced to terminate her. The situation was further complicated by Starfleet Command, which took issue with Data's decision to create life without consulting anyone first. Ultimately, Lal's demise was a painful lesson for Data, underscoring both the brilliance and limitations of his creator, Dr. Soong. The emotional impact of this episode cannot be overstated. Lal's loss was one of the most gut-wrenching moments in The Next Generation. It also highlighted just how ahead of its time Soong's work was. Even Data, one of Soong's most advanced creations, couldn't recreate the brilliance of his own design. The failure of Lal's matrix was a sobering reminder that Soong's breakthroughs were light years beyond what anyone in the Federation could grasp at the time, and even Data couldn't surpass the boundaries set by his father. The Federation's complicated relationship with synthetic life. The Federation's attitude toward synthetic life has always been complicated, and Go See Cal provides a window into this ongoing struggle. Captain Freeman mentions the All-Fleet Robotics Prize, a contest that reflects the renewed efforts within Starfleet to build Soong-style androids, hinting that, years after Data's creation of Lal, advances in robotics and AI have continued at a rapid pace. Despite the tragic end of Lal, engineers and scientists across the galaxy haven't given up on trying to replicate the work of Dr. Soong. The fact that so many people in Starfleet are still trying to crack the code of creating a Soong-level android speaks volumes about the legacy Data and his brothers left behind. But with this intense curiosity also comes danger. As seen in Star Trek, Picard attempts to build Soong-style synths nearly led to the Federation's downfall when rogue androids launched a devastating attack on Mars. The events of Go See Cal take place shortly before this infamous attack on Mars, setting the stage for the Federation's complicated and often fraught relationship with synthetic life. The Mars tragedy and its aftermath. The attack on Mars was a turning point for the Federation's views on synthetic life. The rogue synths, acting under the influence of a hidden Romulan conspiracy, wiped out 100,000 lives and crippled Mars shipyards. This event resulted in a blanket ban on synthetic life, as the Federation feared the potential dangers posed by AI and robotics. The attack was later revealed to have been orchestrated by the Zhat Vash, a secretive Romulan faction that believed synthetic life was an existential threat to organic beings. When the truth about the attack came to light, the ban on synths was lifted, but the damage had already been done. The Federation's brief flirtation with creating synths had nearly led to catastrophe, and this experience left deep scars across the galaxy. For people like Rutherford, it's a reminder of the high stakes involved in advancing synthetic life. His creation in Go See Cal might have been built with good intentions, but like the synths on Mars, it quickly spiraled out of control. Rutherford's ambitious yet flawed creation. In Lower Decks, Rutherford has established himself as one of Starfleet's most brilliant, if reckless, engineers. His creation of an android in Go See Cal nearly equaled the work of Dr. Soong, a remarkable achievement considering the complexities involved. However, like many of Soong's creations, Rutherford's android had its flaws. The decision to use a black market binaural compensator from a Ferengi certainly didn't help matters. Instead of an android striving for human emotions, Rutherford's creation had its sights set on profit and greed, nearly selling off the entire crew of the Cerritos in the process. Rutherford's experience mirrors that of Data's, showing just how challenging it is to replicate Soong's work. Even with access to advanced technology, both Data and Rutherford ultimately fall short of creating a truly functional, stable android. The story highlights how difficult it is for even the best and brightest minds in Starfleet to reach the heights that Soong achieved. Like Data's heartbreaking failure with Lal, Rutherford's creation in Lower Decks serves as a cautionary tale about the limits of human, or cybernetic, ambition. The Federation's future with synths. The attack on Mars fundamentally changed both the Federation's and the galaxy's view on synthetic life, but the fascination with creating the next Data has never gone away. While research into Soong-style androids was briefly halted after the Mars incident, the events of Go See Cal suggest that Starfleet hasn't given up on the dream. And it's no wonder. Dr. Soong's work was so revolutionary that even decades later, the Federation is still trying to replicate it. Whether it's Data's tragic attempt to procreate with Lal or Rutherford's ill-fated android, the pursuit of synthetic life continues to be a central, if controversial, theme in Star Trek. With each new attempt, Star Trek keeps asking the same question. What does it mean to be alive? Data's journey was all about understanding humanity, but it also raised profound ethical dilemmas about the creation of artificial life. In Lower Decks, those questions are given a humorous twist, but the underlying themes remain just as serious. The Federation's attempts to create synthetic life often lead to unintended consequences, and as the events of Go See Cal show, the legacy of Data and his brothers continues to cast a long shadow across the galaxy.